The Sega Dreamcast is one of the best game systems of all time, but also one of gaming's biggest tragedies. After years of screwing over fans and making some terrible business decisions, Sega finally got it right with this one. Their new console had one of the most successful launches in video game history, with a huge assortment of quality titles right out of the gate. Unfortunately, it was too little too late. The damage had been done, and many people that were once diehard Sega fans had already moved on and were enjoying games on Sony and Nintendo's consoles. After only 2 years on the market, Sega stopped production on the Dreamcast and decided to be just a software company. When the Dreamcast died, Sega and several other publishers decided to port their games over to GameCube, Xbox, and the PlayStation 2. Grandia 2 was one of those games to be ported over to Sony's console. On the Dreamcast, this was one of the best RPGs on the system, but it had very little competition. The PS2, on the other hand, had an abundance of great RPGs to choose from, so it would be much tougher for this game to stand out from the crowd. The story begins with the Geohound Ryudo being asked to escort Elena to some nearby ruins so she can perform an important ceremony. However, something goes wrong with the ceremony, and Elena is cursed by a piece of the evil Valmar. The party then must journey to St. Heim to have the evil removed, and to also help prevent the Day of Darkness from coming. The story is very interesting and is made even more enjoyable by its great cast of characters. Every party member is given a nice backstory and excellent character development. There are also some interesting NPCs and villains. The real stars of this game are Ryudo, Elena, and Millennia. The chemistry between these three is very entertaining. Things may start off a little rocky between a couple of them, but they eventually grow to like one another. While this was a great looking game on the Sega Dreamcast, it doesn't fare so well on the PS2. When you enter some of the larger, more populated towns, the system seems to have a hard time keeping up with it, and it results in some terrible slowdown. There are also lots of glitchy spell effects in battle, and some other graphical glitches during cutscenes. There were a couple of times when an important story segment was marred by odd shadows or other graphical issues. There were some CG scenes added in this port which look nice, but I would prefer that they iron out the visual flaws instead of worrying about new cutscenes. The Grandia series features my favorite battle system of any RPG. It's a turn-based system with an active time gauge that also features the ability to cancel enemy attacks and spells by using certain special attacks or the critical attack command. Your opponents also have the ability to cancel your attacks, so you must pay attention to what the enemies have planned for their next move, and hopefully avoid being hit with any potentially devastating maneuvers. It all adds up to a fast and fun combat system that will sometimes have multiple characters and enemies running all around the battle area at the same time. There are a couple of minor issues with the combat. The first is that most battles are pretty easy. There are a handful of really challenging boss fights, but most normal enemies won't give you much trouble. The second is that the game will occasionally freeze after a battle. This happened to me 3 times during my playthrough, and it really sucks to lose 45 minutes to an hour of progress to something that isn't your fault. This wasn't a problem with the original Dreamcast version, so once again, it is a side effect of the lazy port to the PlayStation 2.
Tensei Ken Slash!
The game's music was composed by Noriyuki Iwadare and is one of his finest soundtracks. All of the songs are excellent, and this game also features my favorite random battle theme. Also really enjoy the energy and tension of Dangerous Zone. Voice acting, on the other hand, isn't too hot. It's not the worst, but it's not exactly amazing. And there are some audio glitches during combat, mainly the voices are really muted. But other than that, the audio department is great. Grandia 2 is one of the best RPGs ever made, but unfortunately suffers from a really lazy and half-assed port over to the PlayStation 2. If this is the only version you have or can afford, you should be able to look past the flaws and enjoy it. However, if you already own the original Dreamcast version, I would recommend skipping this one. That will do it for this review. As always, I wanted to thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you next time.
I pray that we shall be safe ahead.